From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. extended condolences and directed urgent government help in response to the demise of yet another Filipino in a missile attack in Haifa, Israel. The president said that he has asked concerned agencies to provide full support to the victim's family and facilitate the timely repatriation of her remains. The Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, previously reported that a Filipino woman was murdered in a missile strike on a residential area in Haifa on April 5, becoming the second Filipino fatality in the ongoing Middle East conflict. The victim, 29-year-old Lucille Jane Gershovich, was killed along with her Israeli husband Dmitry Gershovich and her parents-in-law Vladimir Gershovich and Lina Ostrovsky. Mary Ann Velasquez de Vera, a caregiver, was the first documented Filipino victim in the conflict, having died in earlier strikes in Israel. Her remains were returned weeks later due to aviation limitations in the area. President Marcos said the government continues to constantly monitor the situation in the region, emphasizing that the safety of Filipinos remains the first priority. He also advocated for solidarity and support for the grieving families.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Education, or DepEd, assured support to Philippine schools overseas, or PSOs, amid the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. DepEd Secretary Sonny Angara made the assurance during a virtual dialogue dubbed Online Kumustahan with Filipino educators and 27 PSOs in the Middle East, in line with the directive of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. In his message, Angara reiterated that the agency's commitment to ensuring the welfare of Filipino teachers and learners affected in the region. During the dialogue, the DepEd reached out to Filipino teachers and more than 23,000 Filipino learners across 27 PSOs in the Middle East. Cited in the discussion were crisis communication protocols and academic flexibility, subject to the regulations of the PSO's host countries. The DepEd officials were also able to address challenges in operational hurdles cited by the heads of PSOs. As part of the agency's actions, the online Kumustahan sessions or dialogue will be held regularly to address concerns and answer inquiries of PSO heads. To date, PSOs are operating in 10 countries, serving more than 25,000 learners.
Dateline Malacañang.
Department of Energy, or DOE, officials said the country's domestic oil supply remains sufficient for about 50 days, with additional buffer stocks set to arrive this month under the government's procurement program. During an online briefing, DOE Undersecretary Sandy Sales said around 900,000 barrels are scheduled for delivery in April, with the first shipment expected this week. He said an initial 300,000 barrels will arrive by April 10 from Malaysia via Singapore, sourced through global commodities firm Vitol. Two more shipments of 300,000 barrels each are expected later in the month, contracted through Vitol and Trafigura, and sourced from North Asia and India. Energy Secretary Sharon Garin earlier said the oil buffer is being procured under the Emergency Energy Security Program through the Philippine National Oil Company Exploration Corporation. In the same briefing, Garin said the country has enough lead time to secure additional buffer stocks on top of existing supplies from private oil firms. DOE data as of April 3 showed fuel supply levels covering in-country stocks and can confirmed deliveries until May 1 are equivalent to 57.58 days of gasoline, 47.28 days for diesel, 106.22 days for kerosene, 66.36 days for jet fuel, 52.26 days for fuel oil, and 33.10 days for liquefied petroleum gas or LPG. Meanwhile, fuel prices in Metro Manila and other urban areas from March 31 to April 6 range from 87 pesos 90 centavos to 104 pesos to 10 centavos per liter for gasoline, 116 pesos 80 centavos to 154 pesos 20 centavos for diesel, and 141 pesos 30 centavos to 169 pesos 29 centavos for kerosene. LPG prices range from 1,141 pesos to 1,630 pesos and 43 centavos during the same period.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Economy, Planning and Development or DepDev said the government has introduced targeted measures aimed at protecting households and key sectors to blunt the impact of rising inflation and the Middle East conflict. Data released by the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA showed that headline inflation accelerated to 4.1% in March this year from 2.4% in February. This brought the year-to-date inflation rate to 2.8%, still within the government's 2 to 4% target range. Core inflation, which excludes selected food and energy items, rose to 3.2% in March from 2.9% in February. In a briefing, National Statistician Dennis Mapa said the rise in inflation was primarily driven by faster inflation in transport and food commodities. Mapa said the transport index rose by 9.9% year-on-year, reversing the 0.3% decline recorded in February. The inflation rate for diesel in particular was at 59.5%, while gasoline was at 27.3%. Food inflation picked up to 2.8% from 1.6% as rice inflation rose to 3.6% after 14 months of deflation. The PSA also recorded a higher inflation in vegetables at 6.9% from 6.1% and fruits at 5.1% from 3.8%. DepDev Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said the issuance and operationalization of Executive Order Number 110 or the Unified Package for Livelihoods, Industry, Food, and Transport or Uplift Committee helps the government identify these strategic measures to stabilize domestic fuel supply and ease transport costs. Balisacan said the government has activated the Emergency Fuel Procurement Program with 165.6 million liters of diesel secured for delivery through April. Toll rebates for public utility vehicles and cargo trucks are also being rolled out on major expressways. To protect consumers and ensure adequate food supply, anti-hoarding guidelines have been issued to prevent artificial fuel shortages and maintain orderly distribution. Balisacan said the 20 pesos rice program has been expanded nationwide while logistic support has been deployed to transport vegetables from Benguet to Metro Manila. Reduced roll-on, roll-off terminal fees for vehicles carrying raw agricultural products will also help keep the movement of food items efficient and affordable. The government also provides targeted assistance to public utility vehicle drivers, farmers, and fisherfolk through service contracting, cash assistance, and fuel subsidies.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Agriculture assured that measures are in place to help cushion the impacts of faster food inflation and surging oil prices. The assurance was made after the headline inflation accelerated to 4.1% in March from 2.4% in February, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA. Food inflation likewise jumped to 2.8% from 1.6% for the same period, with rice soaring to 3.6% after a series of deflation. In a statement, DA Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. assured that measures are in place to protect Filipino farmers, fishers, and consumers. Among the immediate interventions are the release of financial aid, fuel subsidies, and farm inputs for affected farmers and fishers. The DA is also ramping up efforts to expedite the delivery and turnover of agricultural infrastructures, including farm-to-market roads, rice processing systems, and post-harvest facilities. Earlier, the DA said it would utilize its 1 billion pesos Quick Response Fund or QRF for the fuel subsidy and procurement of biofertilizer. It also announced the release of 10 billion pesos under the Presidential Assistance for Farmers and Fishers or PAF to about 4.175 million registered Filipino farmers and fishers, amounting to 2,325 pesos per beneficiary. The DA also has a 150 million pesos approved budget for its fuel subsidy program for registered farmers and fishers, providing fuel aid of 5,000 pesos and 3,000 pesos respectively per eligible beneficiary. The agency is also planning to tap almost 100 million pesos in unused fuel subsidy funds from 2023 to 2025 to expand the coverage. The Planters Products Incorporated PPI and the Fertilizers and Pesticides Authority or FPA are also intensifying efforts to secure sources of cheaper fertilizers and alternatives and sustain local production. For logistics, the DA mobilized trucks to Benguet to aid vegetable producers in delivering their goods to the market. For its part, the Food Terminal Incorporated or FTI is helping local onion growers through market linkages and ensuring onion procurement at a fair price amid harvest. Chu Laurel also assured of measures to ease the burden on consumers such as the expansion of the Benting Bigas Meron Na, BBM Na initiative and the Kadiwa ng Pangulo sites. The Kadiwa ng Pangulo is one of the flagship programs of the Marcos administration to address rising food prices. It provides farmers, fisherfolk, and micro, small, and medium enterprises or MSMEs with venues to directly sell their produce and facilitate market linkages, removing unnecessary layers in the trading cycle.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has so far distributed nearly 1 billion pesos in fuel subsidy to drivers and operators of public utility vehicles or PUV as part of the government aid to the transport sector after the declaration of a national energy emergency. LTFRB Chair Vigor Mendoza II said the distribution process is continually being adjusted to make it faster and more efficient down to the municipal level. Drivers and operators in the National Capital Region or NCR received the bulk of the aid at around 200 million pesos. Those in Calabarzon got around 99 million pesos and those in Central Visayas received some 86 million pesos. Those beneficiaries include drivers and operators of modern and traditional jeepneys, utility vehicle express, regular and point-to-point buses, and transport network vehicle service, taxis, and tricycles. Other beneficiaries who have yet to receive their subsidy are delivery service riders and motorcycle taxi drivers. The LTFRB is working with other relevant government agencies as well as local government units to verify the list of beneficiaries of the program.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, is committed to providing cash relief assistance, or CRA, to unserved transport workers across the National Capital Region, NCR, through a special payout next week. In a radio interview, DSWD spokesperson Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao said Tricycle Operators and Drivers Association, or TODA, alongside Jeepney Operators and Drivers Association, or JODA members, will receive their 5,000 pesos financial aid by next week. She said the special payout will also include Qualified Transportation Network Vehicle Services (TNVS) drivers, motorcycle MC taxi, and service delivery riders who were not on the initial list or failed to claim their cash aid in previous schedules. Once finalized, the DSWD will announce 4 designated payout sites in Metro Manila to prevent beneficiaries from spending extra fuel money on distant payout venues. The DSWD spokesperson also mentioned ongoing verification processes involving the transport network companies' TNC's management to cross-check their master list and delete the duplicate entries among their riders. Meanwhile, Dumlao assured all PUV drivers and riders that funds allocated under the DSWD's Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situation program remain sufficient to cover all target beneficiaries. She said a special payout is in line with the commitment of Secretary Rex Gatchalian that all qualified PUV drivers in NCR should receive the relief assistance, and with President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to ensure that no public transport driver will be left behind.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still from the DSWD, the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, is set to convene an online Virtual Financial Service Providers, or FSP Summit, as part of efforts to shift to digital disbursement, the second tranche of the cash relief assistance for public utility vehicle, or PUV drivers. In a social media post, DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian explained the rationale behind the planned shift to digital payouts. The DSWD also welcomes all e-money issuers, mobile wallet operations, and financial technology providers to participate in the virtual conference. The initiative builds on the lessons learned from the initial rollout of the CRA under the DSWD's Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situations, or AICS program, reflecting the agency's continuing efforts to improve its service delivery mechanisms to those affected by the rising fuel costs brought by the ongoing geopolitical conflict in the Middle East. Assistant Secretary Johannes Paulus Acuña, the DSWD's Chief Information Officer, emphasized that shifting to digital systems will help reduce administrative and operational costs while providing more accessible and convenient channels for driver beneficiaries to access funds. The initiative is likewise aligned with existing government policies, including Republic Act numbers 12254, E-Governance Act, and 11032, Ease of Doing Business Act, and Commission on Audit Circular 2021-014 on the use of electronic payment systems and government transactions. Acuña assured that while digital disbursement is being explored, safeguards and verification mechanisms will remain in place to ensure that assistance reaches the rightful beneficiaries. The DSWD is now looking into accrediting FSPs that can support digital fund disbursement of cash aid, allowing real-time account-based transfers to beneficiaries through e-money or mobile wallet platforms, making the assistance easily accessible. The planned summit marks a key step in the DSWD's transition toward digital disbursement, in line with its commitment to deliver timely, secure, and efficient financial assistance to affected sectors. Interested digital financial service providers may access the DSWD Virtual Summit via the QR code posted on the official DSWD Facebook page at DSWD Serves.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang emphasized that any charges related to suspected flood control anomalies must be based on facts and due process amid allegations of plunder complaints against former politicians. According to Palace Press Officer Claire Castro, the Marcos administration remains committed to holding those responsible accountable, but has rejected hasty or media-driven case files. The statement came after Ombudsman Jesus Crispin Remulla announced that his office is preparing plunder charges against former House Speaker Martin Romualdez, the president's cousin, and former Senate President Francis Cheese Escudero over alleged irregularities related to the flood control controversy. Castro warned against politicizing the situation, noting that some parties are simply making noise without contributing to the probe. Remulla said that the cases, which may include conspiracy, might be brought as early as May as investigators continue to gather evidence involving other MPs and officials.
Dateline Malacañang.
Presidential Communications Office PCO Secretary Dave Gomez filed charges against purveyors of fake online advisories amid the declaration of the state of national energy emergency due to the escalating Middle East conflict. Gomez also asked the Department of Justice or DOJ to investigate persons behind at least 3 fake news posts and bring them to court on behalf of the Filipino people to answer for the harm they have caused the public. He was referring to the fabricated energy lockdown designed to scam the public into buying solar panels, fuel shortage which meant to sow panic by inducing the public to stock up or on gasoline, diesel, and liquefied petroleum gas or LPG, and invented emergency lockdown on account of an imagined COVID-19 cicada variant. The PCO chief said these posts are blatant lies and fabrications that fall under the definition of false news, the publication of which is deemed a crime punishable by up to 6 months imprisonment under Article 154 of the Revised Penal Code. Because it is committed online, the penalty is higher under the Cybercrime Prevention Act. These fake news posts were flagged by the PCO Anti-Fake News Desk, which was set up following the launch of Oplan Contra Fake News last month. Gomez said the PCO is intensifying monitoring of social media and information ecosystems to detect and counter deliberate disinformation campaigns.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has issued proclamations declaring special non-working days in several parts of the country, allowing residents to fully participate in local celebrations and commemorations. Under Proclamation Number 1207, President Marcos declared April 20, Monday, as a special non-working day in the city of Tarlac to mark its 28th charter anniversary. The occasion is originally celebrated on April 19, which falls on a Sunday this year. However, the proclamation said that the local government requested that the celebration be moved to Monday to give the people of the city of Tarlac a full opportunity to participate in the occasion and enjoy the festivities. The president likewise issued Proclamation Number 1208, declaring April 20 a special non-working day in the municipality of Alfonso Castañeda, Nueva Vizcaya, for its founding anniversary. Further, the chief executive issued Proclamation Number 1209, declaring April 23, Thursday, a special non-working day in the municipality of Plaridel, Bulacan. The date marks the anniversary of the historic Battle of Quingua, a significant encounter during the Philippine-American War in which Filipino forces led by General Gregorio del Pilar achieved a notable victory. Lastly, Proclamation Number 1211 declared April 25 Saturday a special non-working day in the province of Nueva Ecija to celebrate its founding anniversary. All proclamations were signed on March 30, 2026.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has declared a special non-working day in 2 municipalities in Quezon Province to allow residents to commemorate their founding anniversaries. Proclamation number 1204 declared April 1, Wednesday, a special non-working day in the municipality of Agdangan to mark the celebration of its founding anniversary. Meanwhile, Proclamation number 1210 declared April 25, Saturday, a special non-working day in the municipality of Infanta, also to mark its founding anniversary. The proclamation said that declaring the holidays is fitting and proper to give residents the full opportunity to participate in the occasions and enjoy the celebrations. By authority of President Marcos, Acting Executive Secretary Ralph Recto signed the proclamations on March 30.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Information and Communication Technology, or DICT, has ruled out a nationwide ban against game or social platform Roblox after its executives agreed to improve safety measures to protect children. In a statement, the DICT said negotiations with Roblox are in line with Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to strengthen the country's digital platforms and to protect the Filipino youth. In a meeting led by the DICT with the Cybercrime Investigation Coordinating Center, or CICC, law enforcement representatives, and other private sector representatives, Roblox presented plans to implement stricter monitoring, reporting, and age-appropriate content controls on its platform. These content control tools for parents include screen time controls, purchase limits, blocking inappropriate content, and being able to choose age-appropriate content. On March 20, the DICT warned Roblox against being banned in the Philippines amid increasing reports of child safety violations such as sexual predation and grooming on its platform. In response, telecommunications companies and the CICC expressed readiness to implement the ban once ordered by the DICT.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.